And I think the other speakers about the floods. One thing that I mentioned at the start was that, of course, I said Joseph is the one who taught me how to tweet and Docus. And then why do I tweet? I also mentioned it that I tweet because I feel I have followers. When you look at 10,000 people following you, by the way, some of the people who follow me, especially me, include the senators. And so I feel I'm obliged to say something that I give to the people who are following me. About the floods, you know, there are so many things that require technical input. If you want to stop floods in Kampala, of course, you're going to look at what do you need to do. There are things that are created. For example, those Gulu city, Arua city, these are things that are going to stop floods in Kampala. You know, now you want technical input from people who know. That's why sometimes I tend to concentrate in my area, the medical area. It's like, this is where I've been for 30 years. So I know the mistakes there, and the mistakes there eventually are governance issues. So for me, when I can see a flood, I know we are going to have dysentery, we are going to have cholera. I come in and I concentrate and talk about that in terms of that flood. But again, you and me, if you follow those tweets, Balaam comes up. So many people have called me, and I'm going to talk to our supreme leader, Muhoz. And then you're like, there's nobody to answer Balaam. There's nobody, because Muhoz can't be somebody who can address floods. Floods are addressed by civil engineers, civil engineering, the designs of water. I mean, then you find that he makes a tweet on floods, and you have nobody technical tackling him. Museveni himself is on Twitter. Balaam is on Twitter. His son is on Twitter. And just lacking people who can answer these people. Remember, they came in and said even Dubai floods. Come on. Who doesn't know that even America floods? But the issue that what does America do? I just gave them an example of Iowa. Last week we had what we call a storm. But see how my governor responded. The governor responded. She said there's an immediate $7,000 for people who have suffered. And he says this one should be used to get some food and then repairing cars and what have you. You know, there's an ordinance. There's a statement from the governor. After floods in Kampala, not even Museveni has made a story. You have 70 people dead, and there's no story. And then the country itself. The other day, I attacked my people of Busia, of course, when they mentioned the Gali. And as usual, I normally tell people that when you mention some of these things, there are some of us who come up very fast. Like Busia will always come up. When you mention the Gali, you saw a Gali in Busia. They're already out. But what are they supporting Galis? Where? Which other districts are showing a Gali? That's why we go wrong. And then I even went ahead and told my people of Busia that the moment your MP doesn't even have a social media account, he's not for your generation. He's not for your generation. So it goes to everyone here. If you have an MP who doesn't even have a social media account answering to the public, to the general public, because we have seen floods, the MPs are quiet. There's only one MP who struggles with things in Kampala, he's Semu Junganda. In that parliament, it's only Semu Junganda struggling. At least you see him struggling. The rest are quiet. So this is what revolution means. This is what the protest vote starts even from, because the word protest starts from your own people. You don't want to take back the MP who doesn't even speak to the occasion. There's so many things to talk about. Can you imagine they endorsed, they sat in parliament to endorse the UPDF to go to Sudan. They sat in parliament to endorse an extra budget for the UPDF to go to Sudan. and there are floods in Kampala. Now, which nation does that? And which population just sees that and keeps quiet? You know, it's the way the population itself, and that's what I was quarreling with somebody yesterday about. A Ugandan, you have a PhD in America, and you proudly say the literacy level of Ugandan is at 80 point something for a population of 15 and above. And then when I answered you, I'm like, what do you mean by literacy? Because literacy for me is not about mathematics and English. Literacy is consciousness. A population that doesn't know that there are floods, that's not a literate population. A population that doesn't know that they're governed poorly. Americans protest because they're literate. They're conscious of things. Now, for us, we have a population that is just sits and sees this leadership. So protest voting is an insurrection. It doesn't matter where you belong. It's about your leader. Who do you have? Those floods are an indication of the kind of the quality of leaders you have in Uganda. It just tells you that your vote is a wasted vote. That's why you get floods. Take lessons. So for me, yes, the social media is a platform for everyone, including you, me, and every other person, plus our leaders. Don't allow these fellas to feed us on trash. Joseph, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugeni, again for that great submission. What is it? You said something about the protest vote. I mean, that was a great point about the MPs that are quiet. It kind of brought up a thought in my mind. What about taking, as you said, as part of the so-called protest vote, if my area MP has just sat there and said nothing, has not spoken out, perhaps the people within the constitution should mobilize, demand for different candidates from the party and say, you know what, this guy or this lady has disappointed us. We don't want him or her back in parliament. We're going to vote for someone else. So that could be a part of the protest vote, because then whoever kind of goes to parliament again, perhaps they'll be more conscious about, actually speaking out about issues that concern their constituents. So thank you so much, like Segrinya did, and maybe a few others. So thank you so much for that point. The other thing which I wanted to point out, you mentioned earlier how you go to your Iowa capital, your regional. For people who don't know about the U.S. System, it's a federal system whereby we have different regions called states, and each region or state has a parliament, or what is called a capital, and a governor who is elected by the people. So Ms. Mugeni goes to his regional parliament and meets the representatives there and talks to them. So my appeal to you, Mr. Mugeni, is to go beyond when you go to your senators or your regional representative, ask them to refer you to the national parliament, to the Congress, to the senator, Iowa senator in Washington, D.C. Because these are the people at the national level that can influence national policy towards, foreign policy, all that stuff. Your representative in Washington and your senators in Washington. So since you already have the connection to your regional senators and representatives, ask them to refer you to your state's senators. Go to Washington and raise these issues there to the senators in Washington, in Iowa. That will go a long way, because obviously the states deal with regional issues. They don't deal with international issues per se, even though many of them do trade and all that kind of stuff, but they don't have as much say in foreign policy issues like that. So, but it's great that you already have an in, but kind of leverage that to go higher. Thank you so much for that. Now let me call on, I think Everest, Mimi, I think she's had her hand for a while, but okay, let me call you Mimi, and then Everest will come next. Okay. Yes, please, Mimi, go ahead.
I wanted to just add on more about what Mr. Mugeni is saying, is that, and I agree to what Comrade Mugi Martin said, but we have to build the heat up to that time when something, how do they do that narration notation in government? The camel's back was broken, and then that sparked off that whatever. But you have to build on up to that place, up to that point. Then we have to start building pressure. But we cannot say we are going to be quiet and then we are going to build pressure at the end. We have to bring out these things. They approved this, they got over how many billions from China. Nobody's talking about this thing. They approved, like the thing they said, they are a parliament. Parliament approved the Gundi to UPDF or whatever to go fight in Sudan. Why aren't we talking about these things? Did our own MPs be part of that? And why aren't they saying anything about it? Katinabo tulino basa ako pressure, all these things, combination of all these things have to be building towards the goal that we are aiming at. But we cannot think that we are going to wait until the end and then the spark will come. We start building now, building, making them feel on pressure. When you talk about now, Cora, look at these people. They were going to court. Remember, you guys, they were going in court. They are going to in court to protest noob stole the whatever, But that the people who are posting things on social media, Twitter, on TikTok, this put pressure on them, and then eventually what happened? They had to withdraw their thing because they knew they were lying and whatever. But we have to keep on building the pressure. We cannot just build the pressure when somebody tweets something, when Muhozi tweets something, and then we jump on it, and everybody's jumping on it. We still have to, even now when there is no propaganda going around, we need to keep on putting pressure and heat on them, because there are many things that are happening and we are saying we are so quiet, especially the diaspora. This is not right, just waiting every single month to do the next thing, the next protest, we have all these days. One thing I realized, I didn't know, I hated Twitter, X or whatever it is before, because it limited the words that I had to write. So I hated it. The first time I used it, I hated it. But you know what? It also teaches you how to be precise, because to talk so much, and which I'm part of it and I'm doing it right now. But let us be precise. Naingate to be a word to nail in the coffin of these people. I mean, younger to hitting that nail in the coffin. So it's just to encourage us. It's not criticizing anybody. It's not doing that, but let us get on social media. Let us pick up on these subjects like Mr. Mugeni said, and let us not just be quiet. Share. Just go repost. Just repost. It's just to repost, and it's done. Let us do something. Because even this, somebody sees your post somewhere, not only Ugandans, but in the world, people see these posts and they start paying attention. And it's not going to wait that one day we are going to go somewhere and, do something. Or we are not going to wait until the elections come. It has to be now. We build the heat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mimi, for that. Yes, indeed, we need to be on Twitter and social media, highlighting the issues consistently, because especially on Twitter, a lot of powerful policymakers, especially if you retweet tweet which has all this tagged a lot of powerful people, it goes a long way towards getting attention to some of the issues. Of course, as we all know, in the Washington, this cut USAID aid to countries because the US is looking inward and reassessing it. And so many of us were tweeting for a long time and protesting and saying, you know, stop funding the dictatorship in Uganda because it's misuses the money and this and that. You know, so something like that, when, like, say, the State Department tweets, says something about that, we can then jump on that and tweet and say, yes, 70, you know, if you're, you know, yeah, it's been, you know, this is what we've been asking for, and please, you know, cut off even military support. Any kind of support to Museveni is a misuse, and really support this kind of initiative. So that goes a long way. But many of these people, like the Secretary of State, is on Twitter. Many of the Trump administration officials on Twitter. So yes, Mimi, I agree. We need to be on social media, be on Twitter. We need to retweet, tweet, and get the word out there. So thank you so much. Everest, can you please come in and unmute and say what you need to say?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. I'm glad to be here, and all of you members. Yeah, mine, I think possibly I would invite all of you here to really condemn what is going on in the Parliament of Uganda. I think the Parliament, possibly all successive parliaments have been doing it, but having seen the elections which we had in recently, that election in Kawempe, is about to approve, or it has approved, election funding for the army, election funding for police, election funding for the commission. And after clearing all these funds in their billions, they turn around and they say, what is the army doing in the elections with the member, the everything? It doesn't look, it is actually what it is. The Parliament of Uganda funds the army to beat up citizens, to terrorize the citizens. I think we, through this platform, we should condemn this act, and also our members of Parliament, for maybe they are sleeping or they are doing it intentionally to hurt the country. I don't know why they should be doing this. I will also invite members here that much as we going towards the election, we've seen what happened in Kawempe. We won the elections and we kept the fighting. For me, I would invite you members that this time let us unite and fight so we can win the election. But fighting after the election, it won't be pretty, most especially when Museveni has lost. Let us members raise up, do whatever we can do, however small, however big it is. Let us unite our efforts, organize, and coordinate well, and do the fighting before the elections. So after the elections, we will be enjoying the win. Thank you very much, members. Let me not take a lot of your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Everest. That was a great point. Actually, I didn't follow what has happened in Parliament recently. You said they funded the the police and the army election funds for the army and the police, the EC. And yeah, that's a great point, that the Parliament is funding the brutalization of Ugandans. I mean, after Kawempe, no. How do you? I mean, why should the army even be involved in elections? Literally, I mean, that is just unconscionable. I mean, if it's true that they funded the military to be pass funds for the military, election funds for the military, then it's totally unacceptable, and we should be calling on Parliament to, on that. Our MPs, the party should be calling on MPs and say, guys, how can you do that? Especially after Kawempe North, after 2021. The military does not belong in the elections period. And then also the other point you mentioned about, again, as I said, I'm one of those people who's been against getting involved in another Museveni election, being very outspoken about that. But as you said, it would be great if some kind of mobilization, as Martin was talking about, happened maybe around the election, but maybe because basically after Museveni supposedly wins in 2026, you know, he will be like, oh, these are sore losers, and these are rebels, so to speak. So I think the mobilization, as you say, should be done perhaps before and by the election, so that, you know, you can stand up and say, you know what, we don't believe in this sham process, and we demand A, B, C, D, whatever. So anyway, this is me thinking out loud. I think, anyway, the key thing though is the mobilization nationwide, as Martin mentioned, and perhaps that as long as it's national as opposed to just Kampala, because when it's Kampala, it's very easy for Museveni to get all his army, some of them from wherever, from the Congo, from Sudan, from Somalia, and bring them and concentrate on Kampala and just fizzle the movement. So it has to be national. And we've been saying this over and over again. It has to be all the major cities, all the major towns, you know, and that's where the coordination is needed. And unfortunately, as Martin says, our leadership doesn't seem to have a lot of coordination along that. So somehow it's incumbent upon the citizens to do the mobilization, coordination, you know, in whatever way possible. But if it can be done before the election, obviously the better. But yeah, so thank you so much for that submission. We're almost ending, but I don't know if I see we have one more hand, Freddie. I don't know. You want to say something, Dorcas?
Yes, Comrade Joseph. I just wanted to apologize to us on the Zoom. We've been bombed a couple of times. People are to distract us. However, we're still standing. So never mind the chat. There's some. So I call upon all co-hosts to pay attention and by all means take the necessary action as a co-host. Of course, by removing those guys. Yeah, so they're trying to bomb us, trying to stop us. We are unstoppable. Yes, my brother, we're drawing to a close. So perhaps we'll get Sister Mimi to take the closing remarks for everybody. Then you'll come in and conclude. Sister Mimi, I guess give everyone a minute. You're very good at keeping time. So everybody, I think, I don't know if Sister Demi is still driving. Those that haven't spoken and want to speak, because we are closing, they will also have a minute. Yes. Oh, okay. Yes, Freddie, Ellen Prezo, do come in, and then Sister Mimi will take closing remarks of maybe 6-7 members of 1 minute each, and then we close. Yes, I hand over to you, Freddie.
Thank you, sister. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I'm excited to see you, Mukulu Sanyanjo, and a few other comrades. I saw Comrade Mimida and the rest. My name is Soke. I'm in Belgium. Comrades, just about the issue that we are discussing. I think, to me, it's really a disappointment after all these years that we've learned exactly nothing from what we've experienced. I'm sorry, with all due respect, the regime and with the dictator at its helm have displayed their intentions. These people are not joking, okay? They are really serious about what they're doing. You see the promotions in the army, the high training of one region into armed forces, the decoration of their sort of elites. It's not just a mere display of military attire. They have a goal, and they've discovered that to achieve it is to be in the armed wing. Now, some of the comrades who are here really know that at least at one time we talked about this. We've discovered a long time ago that without a coercive hand on our side, we will still be pawns, and every coming election will be pounced upon, will be beaten, will be abducted, will be done all sorts of manner. But again, here we are talking about 2026, and the same rhetoric that we've had over the years is coming back. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to disappoint you, especially Mkulu Senyo. I know you are a man of dialogue. You believe in non-violence and everything. I'm not saying let us be violent, but at this stage, the diaspora should have a desk where we discuss and arm the wing of our own, not necessarily to wage war, but at least to tilt the balance. You who live in America, you remember the times of the Black Lives Matters. You remember when the Proud Boys were displaying their ammunitions and everything, and they are marked and trying to suppress the voices of the demonstrators. You remember those very quiet, black dressed young men and women who just came and passed along in their lines, also holding their ammunitions. Now that sent a chilling signal to the Proud Boys, and you'll be my witnesses that the Proud Boys toned down, at least if not completely. So what am I talking about? Every revolution has had its armed wing, not necessarily waging war, but no one is going to respect you when they've made you their bitch. I'm sorry, I'm using the B word. But when somebody, the Baganda say, these guys have made us that. They know they can come at any time and they do whatever. Okay, we showed some resilience in Kawempe, but it's not enough, especially when you know that Kawempe was just a by-election, whereby all our other forces, all our proud people, all our brave people were all focused on Kawempe. Imagine that situation in a nationwide election. Just close your eyes and think. There are some intimidated villagers down in some remote polling stations where nobody can even lift their heads, and that's where the chaos is done. You saw the powerlessness of the Electoral Commission, but you also saw the connivance that even at the 11th hour, after failing at the polling stations, the Electoral Commission will come and start reading the 700s and 400s and everything. So, unless we are really in connivance with the regime, trying to prolong its stay, and maybe even seeing Mohozi come to rule over us, we should display something that is really, of course, a power tilting or a balance. We have many countries in Africa that would be standing on our side. Let us have some trained boys and girls. We don't even need to discuss this on an open forum like this, but at least let it go into our minds, and then we go back in our secrecies and we start plotting this, such that whenever the ugly arm comes out, you saw the members at the polling station. Gentlemen and ladies,
comrade,
let us not dupe ourselves. I'll stop at that. I see that I'm getting irritant. So thank you so much. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I drop the mic.
Thank you, Freddie, for that submission. Of course, as you know, the National Unity Platform is a political party that seeks people's mandate. So I guess what you're talking about is beyond the National Unity Platform as a party. Yeah. So anyway, but thank you so much. But as I guess the president says, President Kyagulanyi, the actual elected president, you know, he cannot stop people whatever means, because if, it's not through elections, people are going to seek any way to get things done. So thank you so much for that submission. Mr. Ellen Prezo, please quickly. Thank you so much, Freddie, for that. Ellen Prezo, can you unmute, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. Can you confirm that I can be heard?
Yes, you can be heard.
Yeah, thank you very much for hosting and steering this session. I came in and I appreciate those people who have contributed before me. I will shortly or briefly speak about the protest vote and direct our mind to the substance of the noble cause that we're pursuing in this revolution, so that we don't get swayed away in two form and we forget about the substance. It's okay for people to have different opinions, different shades of opinions on what they believe in and what they don't believe in. But you can never become what you don't believe in. And you cannot play a role if you don't believe in something that you want to achieve. So in a protest vote, it's very simple. We have the oppressing side and the oppressed side. If you want to really exercise your right to go for protest vote, you must vote against the oppressing side. And we all know the oppressing side. Okay? Whether we like an election or not, we even know what the likely outcome, because we know the power play and the way the systems are really corrupted. At the time of election, we know that SFC and the regime takes over the Electoral Commission. We've all witnessed that. We have been observant and heard what the Electoral Commission has been exhibiting, even reading results that don't really have any source. What the Electoral Commission is likely not to do. After knowing that, if we're strategic, we must make sure that, one, we mobilize, we organize and engage the communities, the Ugandans. We all come from different parts of Uganda. We can come here. The last 5 or 10 years, we've been calling upon politicians to go and do their work. They're not going to do. Not everyone's going to do their work because they don't know their intentions before they join politics. So if we are realistic to what we want to achieve, if we are focusing on 2026, after failing to succeed in coming up with a civil uprising to put an end to the dictatorial tendencies in Uganda, for the last 4 years, Ugandans have not exhibited that. Much as when you see their mood, you realize that they really want that change to come. But we have not yet reached that point of needing the change. The two are different. What we have to do, without taking a lot of your time. Some of you are talking about focusing on the presidency. We need the presidency. But if we give the presidency and we don't give him the support, we'll have given him a lot of water and let him to drown in that water. He will not perform. He will not do the work that we want him to do. The major problem that we have and why we have issues with the parliament today, the NRM, the oppressing side has 350 members of parliament. Okay? So they can pass anything they want in parliament. The opposition can come up and put up a fight, but because we lack the numbers, we cannot win that fight. So what must we do? We must make sure that we identify those people that we've lived with and we think can serve their people or contest in the coming election. We mobilize and then tell them that we need more members of parliament. Okay? As we go to vote, Our Excellency Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu, if he chooses to stand again, we must give him the majority members of parliament to increase on the number. Therefore, we stand a chance to now put a challenge to whatever issue that may be coming during and after the election. We need to push the Electoral Commission, the same thing that was practiced in Kawempe, where a judge came up and started beating up people, but people resisted. We are dealing with a national resistance movement. They're resisting Ugandans. So we also need to resist. We need to resist them by forcing them, but we must believe in what we want to become. So the protest vote is voting against the NRM and voting for those. Don't mind about whether people are going to go against the wishes of their electorate or not. Just go and vote against the NRM. People who have not voted, who have not participated in an election, cannot assure me that they're going to come up and stand for a civil uprising. That's not going to happen because they will have nothing they're demanding for. We need to mobilize people so that we stop the oppressors to disenfranchise the Ugandans, to stop going to the polling stations to cast their vote. And that's where they play their games. That's the same thing they did in Kawempe, where 190 electorates were registered, but it got less than 50,000 that participated because of the availability of the members and all those unnecessary violence that happened in Kawempe. So what must we do? The mantle is in our hands as Ugandans. Don't rely on those politicians to wait for them to go and mobilize, because most of them are not really, some of them are not for change. They have their intentions and we cannot really examine that. So as I conclude, we need focus. We cannot be everywhere. We cannot be preaching the non-violent method. At the same time, we are preaching the violent or protracted war to remove a dictator. We deliberate on choosing non-violent because since Uganda gained its independence in 1962 to date, we've not had any peaceful transfer of power. Everyone has been bombing themselves into power. You must believe that, like Muji Martin said, we must participate in any election organized by our oppressor. And we must really be determined that we're going to use everything within our power to make sure that we stand against the oppression that they're putting up against us. So let's focus. While we're giving messages on such platforms, we must give messages that are not aiming at confusing those that are listening, those that have not yet decided to join the revolution. If they get mixed messages, then they're going to get confused and they remain on the fence. We must be agents of change and we must focus on the message. If it's process vote, even when you don't believe in an election, make sure that at least if you are against it, then don't speak about it publicly. Just keep it yourself, all right? And give a positive message to those that are listening. Otherwise, we're going to keep going around the circles and people are going to sit back as if Uganda doesn't belong to them. I submit.
Thank you so much, Ellen Prezo, for that submission. And you said we should identify people to stand, to present. And of course, that's where the issue is, that we have not identified those people. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, NOP does not have people standing all over the country to represent. So if the protest vote is just Kampala, then it's more or less meaningless, as far as I'm concerned. So that's where the mobilization has to be done. As you can see, even the senior party people standing in Kampala, despite the fact that they may be coming from all over the country. They're standing in Kampala because I don't think enough work has been done to get this majority of parliament, members of parliament representing the party to counteract the national movement. So if the work has been not being done, and who's going to do it? The party. But if the party is not doing it, how? I mean, it's like a catch-22 situation, and that's why some of us are a bit hesitant. But I agree with Muj Martin that we perhaps can jump on this bandwagon as a means, as a revolution. It's part of a revolution, but mobilizing not because we believe in elections per se, but in kind of getting nationwide consciousness about the need to kind of rise up and say enough is enough. Again, Freddie mentioned that in most of the rigging is actually done outside Kampala and Uganda, because at least in these other areas that are densely populated and urban areas, people are much more alert. But a lot of the rigging is done in outside Kampala, where, as Freddie mentioned, people are so intimidated, or actually you have a lot of NRM kind of functionaries in those areas that use a lot of money and intimidation to kind of buy, of course, very, very poor people. And so most of the rigging is going to be done as usual in country areas. And if we don't have infrastructure in place in those regions to counteract, nothing's going to happen like in Comipeno. I mean, if you look historically in elections, even during Besigye's time, Besigye always won Buganda or Kampala. I mean, well, maybe, it was rigged, but he always kind of more or less Kampala, Masaka, and other in urban areas, Besigye always did quite well. Obviously, it went to another level in 2021 when NOP came to power. It became, NOP swept Buganda. She totally swept. Ministers lost the seats, but outside Buganda there was nothing. And I've not seen anything right now to show me that the protest vote is going to make it any different, because we don't have infrastructure. We don't have candidates standing in these other places so this whole thing of getting the majority, how are we going to get it if we've not done the work, if the party has not done the work? So that's why some of us are saying, you know what, let's use this perhaps as a spark, maybe mobilize people. The citizens themselves have to do the job, because I'm not confident that our so-called party leaders that are looking for positions are going to be doing the work that's necessary to get the people to actually do what is necessary to rise up and say, enough is enough. So, but thank you so much for that, Prezo. And then finally, Tamale Ibrahim, and then we go to Mimi to start closing us out. Tamale, please unmute.
Thanks so much, comrade. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, as I've been telling you people that our parliament is just a hub of money eaters. Actually, I was here wondering, as we are crying for our money, Narukola to soya in, the parliament was busy allocating more money to Pineti. Imagine. Not to make matters worse, Mos here has been abusing the MPs and whoever who wishes to hear. Recently, they have given some money to the army for the South Sudan operations. Now I'm wondering, and I'm asking myself, what is the parliament there for? Is it there for us Ugandans, or it is just there to be part of the junta? I'm still wondering, and I'm asking myself, what should we do as Ugandans? Is there any use of the parliament really to us Ugandans? If we could be suffering to this extent, just recently, journalists have been beaten seriously. But no one is bothering, no one is bothered to speak. For sure, I'm lost for words. That's what I can submit, guys, but it's too much. It's too much.
Thank you so much, Tamale, for that submission. And that is that question that you raised is many have raised it. What's the use of parliament if the dictator gets whatever he wants? And obviously, they do raise up some issues about the penalty and whatever. But again, the dictator more or less gets what he wants. And I was watching an interview by Gawaya Tegule, who's a renowned lawyer in Kampala, has a column in Monitor, but this interview was done right after the 2021 elections, and he actually raised the same point, say, that we don't need. He actually said point blank that we don't need a parliament under Museveni because but perhaps it should be like under Idi Amin. Under Idi Amin didn't pretend, he didn't pretend to be a Democrat, so he just said, well, no parliament, and he saved us a lot of money. This parliament, HMP gets $100,000 plus benefits, whatever, a year. And so the parliament costs us so much money. There are over almost 535 MPs times 100K. I mean, do you do the math? And then, of course, the travel, there's just the money that is spent on parliament could do a lot to build roads, build hospitals, build community centers. A parliament that does nothing, basically. That's a parliament that is just there, to get benefits. I mean, okay, they do debate and they, like people like Semju Nganda and others kind of raise objections and all that. But when push comes to shove, because likely Museveni has the majority of MPs and whatever, he kind of gets whatever he wants. So yes, that is a good question, and perhaps that's why, not perhaps, that's why I hope that as people go to vote, those MPs that have been sitting there and really basically saying nothing or doing nothing, no objection, they should be kind of recalled by the voters. But yeah, it's a very good question, and as Ugandans, that we should be thinking about. Thank you so much. And now with that, I think I'll call Mimi. I mean, I see Aaron President put up his hand again, but I don't know. Okay, Aaron President, please, very, very briefly, and then Mimi has to close us out.
I'm going to drop off. Sorry to interrupt you,
Right.
Mr. Elm Prezo. I have to drop. I have another meeting, unfortunately.
Yeah. So
and then, Mr. we're gonna close out.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry, I'll step in. Because you're dropping, guys, I will be giving you guys the hosting. I have got to drop as well. But let's take the closing minutes in this order. I think Joseph, you got, yeah. So maybe we'll start off with Ellen Prezo. 1 minute, please, guys. Let's keep time. 1 minute, everybody. And then Comrade Joseph will close at the end. So we'll have Ellen Prezo, Everest, Sister Demi, James, Proscovia. Anyone that wants to speak has to be within 60 seconds. Yes, Comrade Ellen Prezo, I'll give you the mic, and then Comrade Ismail, you help to unmute. Guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dorcas. I came in just to supplement on what my brother Joseph had just submitted, and to remind all of us that we are in a revolution. We are not in a democracy. In a democracy, you're going to be calling on those politicians, elected politicians, to go and mobilize in their constituencies. But in a revolution, every person, every citizen must be taking upon themselves to go and do the work. If these politicians come to join the revolution, well and good. But if we keep waiting on the politicians and calling on them, asking Nuke to do so much, Nuke and the politicians are not going to do what you want them to do, unless you and I do what you're supposed to do to make sure that we make that change that we need, not the change that we want, or not the change that we were given. Otherwise, what my brother Joseph is saying on calling on Nuke to go and do more in mobilization, the dictator is not going to allow Nuke to go and do that. So if the citizens, we the citizens, sit back and wait on the National Unity Platform to go in those places. Joseph, you come from one part of Uganda. Each one of us here have friends and brothers and families in different parts of Uganda. We don't all come from the central. We come from different parts of Uganda. What role are we playing to mobilize those guys in those districts, other than waiting for the elected officials to go and mobilize on our behalf? It's not going to happen. Let's take this as a revolution, and they are dealing with the country, our state that was captured. So how do we liberate that state that was captured from us in 1986 to date? How do we liberate ourselves? Let's change our mindset and change our attitude, then our attitude will change. May God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Dorcas, who's next? Mimi or Dorcas? Thank you so much, President, for those closing remarks. Anyone else? Mimi, James, closing remarks, very brief closing remarks. Anyone who wants to give a very quick closing remark, please go ahead. Dorcas, perhaps you can give some guidance. I know you did mention some names. I don't know if Dorcas dropped off.
Dorcas has an appointment in the hospital, so she delayed, I think, so she's run away. But we started off again a debate which we shouldn't open.
Just a closing remark, please.
We can debate next week about anything else, but I just wanted to say we need conscious citizens. We need conscious citizens. And the conscious citizens begins even with you being on your Twitter space and knowing that you owe the world, or you have to commit yourself to something. Joseph, that's all I can say for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dorcas just sent me the list. So Tamale, can you also please give your closing remarks if you have a closing remark, and then Everest, then Martin, then Proscovia, and Demi. Tamale, are you there? Okay, if Tamale is not there, we'll call on Everest. Everest, you have a closing remark? Everest, do you have a closing remark?
Thank you very much. Dear members, I'm glad we are here. Let us not consider our numbers, but what we represent is great. We need to embark on a journey to fight for our country. We cannot underestimate what we can achieve. Let us raise up. The majority of Ugandans who are suffering will stand with us. Let us craft the strategies which need to be in place, and we present the most cherished gift of peace to this country. And every Ugandan should love that. And we can achieve it through this platform, members here and members across the world. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, and let us fight and take the fight where it deserves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Everest, for those closing remarks. Moji Martin, are you there to give us your closing remarks? I don't know if Reggie Martin is still around. I think he dropped off. All right, Proscovia, you are on the list of people to give some closing remarks. Hi, Prosy, are you there? Can you unmute and say what you need to say?
Yes, Mr. Joseph, I'm there. Thank you so much. Right, okay. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a great submission. Like Dr. Muget says, we need conscious citizens, and that is the thing. What is happening in Sudan, it should worry everyone, because when you listen to their spaces, guys, if you listen to their spaces, it is not fun. We who interact with them, and someone really looks in your face straight and says, this guy said this and is killing us, and you're the son of the president of Uganda, which is not my president. I mean, it is alarming. But when you look at us as citizens of Uganda, it seems it is normal. Parliament of Uganda, we are not going to exonerate you because you cannot just approve. We lost 500 children of Uganda in Sudan. Can anyone account for that? Is there anyone who bothered about it or not? Again, more are gone that side. Over 700, look at that, and then you're saying we're at peace. You are sleeping. No wonder floods. They come over us, and you wake up in the morning, no alert, no nothing. Mr. Joseph, you and I can tell in case there is a storm. whether in the middle of the night, whether it is 2 a.m., your phone would not rest. Everything, as long as it is a communication device, information will be on your phone. You have a radio, like every station will be like, alert, alert, alert. How about us? These are simple things. And then someone says, we do not love the government. But a few things, they say small things bring big embarrassment. And that is us Ugandans. Guys, Mr. Joseph, thank you for the presentation. Mr. Mugenyi, Moji, LM Dada, everybody who has presented. We can speak over and over again, but if we don't take action, 2026 is going to be like a 2021. But if we don't want the 2021 to happen, it starts today. I submit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Proscopia, for the wonderful presentation as usual. You do a great job. Thank you so much. Freddie, I see Freddie, you're back. Can you please give us your closing remarks?
Yeah, thank you so much, Comrade. Comrade, I'm not going to go back to what I talked about because it makes people uncomfortable, but I just want you guys, gentlemen and ladies, to know that 2026 is very important to Mr. Museveni as never before, because he is grappling, he's fighting 2021. He really is seeking to erase what happened in 2021. Please put that in your minds. What happened in 2021 is still irritating him. That's why he came up with these concocted things that no pistoles votes, you all know that blah, blah, blah story, yeah? And that's why he had also ordered that NUP never wins any by-elections. Of course, he didn't expect what happened in Kawempe. So we should all know that if we dare put ourselves in a position to go and contest in 2026, we are going to get embarrassed such that we will not even claim the leader of opposition. Mark my words. It is a trap. He is really praying. I guess he goes on his knees every night to pray that we really get lured into 2026, because that's when he wants to erase 2021. Remember what I told you in my last presentation? We need that. Thank you so much, comrade. Diaspora, our people are relying on us. Let us do the needful. The party is not going to come up and say this and that, but the president told us, everybody take an initiative where you can. Mark those ones. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Freddie. Yes, everyone take initiative where you are. And I tend to share your pessimism about 2026, that is likely, I mean, it could be worse for us, because Museveni is really preparing. Again, as my opening remarks, I mentioned about the biometric systems, how everything has been computerized. If you're not identified by the computer, you cannot vote. If the system is down in an area, imagine in upcountry areas, no vote. So chances are it's going to try to rig us worse. Obviously, there are places like in Kampala and whatever, where whatever it does, the numbers are so overwhelming, but in other areas where it's 50-50, it can do a lot of damage. So chances are we may not. So we really need to have a plan B. And as Mimi was saying, we need to be on point from now on. We can't wait until the last minute. So thank you so much, Freddie. Demi and then Dorcas. Let me see, make sure that I have the list right. Yeah, Demi, please, your closing remarks.
Yes, hello. I go along with the comrade from Brussels. He just put it on the plate. That is what it is. People, they are scared that such message is just condemning our leaders. No, we have to hold our leaders accountable, because they ask us to go on the street and demonstrate. Secondly, Mimi said it's something to do with the people. We go with what is going on, but we don't home it in a time. I think, Mimi, the message I have for you, people, they are more used to fire brigade message or emotional message, bagenda muta, bagenda mpa, yaride, but rather than substance. And another point, I think it's like we can always disagree, but we can agree. In a revolution, we are going to have so many people from different perspectives. But when somebody says and you dismiss it, Yes, we know we are against the dictator, but are we the first people? There is the word plan. There is the word strategy. There is the word organization. How are we going to be organized if we don't listen to people like comrades in Belgium? So we are going to be here. Our contents is here. I wish leaders could listen to our message, take it in, and then they build on that. We don't want positions. Last, I've been disheartened when people say people in the diaspora. It is a little bit very underestimating. People in diaspora, they are the backbone for the revolution. And they are contributing more than the people on the ground. It's very disheartening. People to think people in the ground. But when you say protest vote, when we had march to parliament, they arrested 115. So what? Where were the people? It's very hard when you identify that MPs, they disagree with the leader. Robert Chagulanyi says a girl, and then we see this MPs Kawaria in Mecca praying and posting that, oh God, I want to win my seat again. Oh, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much, Demi, for that presentation. Perhaps one point I wanted to make, you said that we in the diaspora are contributing more than people on the ground. I think the diaspora is perhaps contributing more than MPs in parliament or MPs, but not, I would not necessarily say that we are contributing more than the people on the ground, the people that are abducted, the people that are, like all these images that are going out of people standing up for their rights to go despite the intimidation. I think they're contributing a lot more. I mean, they're not contributing a lot more, they're contributing a lot. But we at the diaspora, as you said, rightly said, we are the backbone of the struggle. Again, 2021 would not have been as it was if for a lot of diaspora financing, because NOPE had no big access to a lot of resources. So diaspora is really definitely the backbone. But I would say that the people, the foot soldiers, the people that actually risk their lives and go and stand up against the intimidation that, they're contributing immeasurably. So we, of course, are in a different situation. We are a comfort of wherever we are. So yes, we are the backbone. But I think that we have to give credit where it's due. But I have to say we are contributing definitely more than the so-called elected MPs, NUP MPs in Parliament. So thank you so much for that. Dorcas, Mimi seems like she left. So now I'll call Dorcas to give maybe before I call on Dorcas session. Dorcas, let me call on Dorcas because she's on an appointment. Dorcas.
Okay. Yebyo. Uganda okutereera munnayuganda anasobola kukkiriza nti buvunaanyizibwa bwo si bwa mulala okutereeza ensi yo. Twali agenda kukulwanira, twali agenda kukwogerera, twali agenda kufiirayo nga gwe tofaayo toyogera osiriisa obutise matama oze nti waliwo agenda okukwogerera. Toyina kyokola olinze bikyuke byekyuse. Gumira wooli mujja kukiwulira. Buli omu olina olubimbi lwo, buli omu olina okubaako nekyokola okutereeza ensi yaffe. Everyone you have a mandate, you are mandated. You have to do something for your country. Don't ask Chagulanyi did what? What is Chagulanyi doing? What foot soldiers are doing? Ask yourself, what am I doing to take away General Museveni? That's your responsibility, not my responsibility alone. Not Chagulanyi's responsibility again alone, but it's our responsibility, collective.